Hello, everybody. Today's story is really sad because the crime in it wasn't done on purpose, but a soul got lost. There is a really cool punchline or moral of the story at the end of the story. It's a story of three friends who found each other because of the new technology, because of Facebook. They grew up as kids together, and then life separated them. They went to schools, and then they get married, and somebody went overseas for a business opportunity, and they never seen each other again. But when Facebook came, it reconnected a lot of people. So without any further suspense, let's listen to the story. Hello, everybody. This story happened in 2009 or 10, when Facebook just started, I think, or maybe 2011. And there was this farmer who was living in a small town. He had like six kids. He worked so hard all day long just to make enough money to buy what his family needs, like the basic and the necessities. He was a really good man, and that was his life, just going to the farm, trying to bring food to his kids and raise them well. Everybody loved him. The whole town know him as a good, hardworking man, and a small little community. He was in his 40s, but when he was in his 20s, he went to, he was, I think, this is a Syrian story, but I think there it's mandatory for kids between 18 and 20 to serve in the army for a year or two. It's obligatory, I mean. Everybody has to do it. So he went with this guy. His name is Mahmoud. And as I said, they were living in the same town together. They went to school together. Then they went to the army together. After they finished, uh, um, Mahmoud didn't get married. I think he finished his education and went to college because his family circumstances were better than the other guy who was worked as a farmer. And let's give him a name. We will call him Muhammad. Um, Muhammad got married immediately after after he joined the army and he finished his duties. He got married immediately, so he had kids right away. And so his older son is 17 years old, and he's the kid who was helping his dad in the farm. And he goes to the local market, like open market, for like farmers market, and sell the produce there and help his dad cleaning the farm and whatever his dad needs. And he goes to school. He was a really good kid. Anyway, one day Muhammad wanted to make a Facebook account. Like his son told him, Dad, why don't you make an account? It's really fun. So the dad made an account, and in no time, Facebook, the started suggesting names and people to Mahmoud, and suddenly he saw. I mean, to Muhammad. So suddenly, let's change the name. I think you guys are gonna get confused between Mahmoud and Muhammad. Let's call him Mahmoud and Ibrahim. So our friend Ibrahim, the farmer, he he's one day he woke up with a notification from Facebook suggesting a guy that looks familiar to him. He's older, of course, with white hair, but he knows it's Mahmoud, his friend, that the one that he went to the army with. It's his childhood friend, and he could not believe his eyes. But he looked really great. Like he was wearing suits, and he looked like he doesn't live in the country in Syria. He looked like he lives in some one of the Gulf area, like around Bahrain or Dubai or Saudi Arabia. So immediately he sent him. He wanted to contact him, but he didn't know how because he's still new to Facebook. So he called his son and told him, "Could you please send a message to this guy? He's your uncle Mahmoud. I think he is. Can you please send him a nice message telling him, hey, this is Ibrahim, your childhood friend. Is this really you, Mahmoud?" And In no time, Mahmoud responded and said, "Yeah, oh my God, I recognize you. This is you, Mahmoud, Ibrahim." And they start chit chatting and catching up. And Ibrahim found out that Mahmoud, after he finished his education, he became a really successful businessman, and he got an opportunity when he met one of those sheikhs in the Arabic Gulf. You know that area in the Arabic Peninsula where the desert storm happened. It's uh, it's where Saudi Arabia is, Bahrain, Qatar, Dubai, Iraq, that Gulf. And Iran is on the other side of it. So Iranians call it Persian Gulf. Arabs call it Arabic Gulf. And it's always like a tension between them. Anyway, so Mahmoud was working in Saudi Arabia, and he was doing exporting and importing business, and he was making a lot of money. So he was really comfortable financially. And immediately, like probably after a month of chit chatting, uh, Mahmoud asked Ibrahim about his name and his bank account. No, about his name and his address, because if he asks him about his bank account, he will notice. And he sent him a check in the mail. And Ibrahim was really got really emotional when he received the first check. And immediately he contacted his friend Mahmoud, telling him, "No, you don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. This is too much. I'm good. I have a farm." But Mahmoud knew that he's just being humble. What could a farm bring in these new days if he doesn't have a cattle, and if he doesn't produce meat, or doesn't have a sheep or anything? He just have a farm and probably a couple chickens. Even chickens he didn't have, to be honest. He probably ate them, all of them, out of need. So he helped his friend here and there, and one day, probably after 8 months, and usually people from Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan, or Iraq, when they travel to the Arabic Gulf countries to work, because they have oil and the financial situations and job opportunities are better there, they leave for years. They never come back. They spend, some of them, 4 years or 3 years, and if they are in violation of the visa or residency there, they never leave. I know some people, they stay 10 years and 15 years. Anyway, long story short, um, one day Mahmoud told Ibrahim, "Hey, I'm coming back home. It's time to meet." And Ibrahim could not be happier. He told him, "I'm gonna pick you up from the airport. You have to have dinner in my house that day." And and Mahmoud says, "No, you don't have to do that. I'm gonna go and see my family." He said, "No, and when they swear by their mother's names, it's done. Like, you cannot argue about it." He said, "By mother name, you have to come to my house, and I'm gonna host you. You have to have dinner with us." Immediately, Mahmoud told his wife that, Ibrahim told his wife that Mahmoud is coming in 9 days. I'm gonna go and look for dhabiha. Dhabiha means when they slaughter the sheep or the goat. Thus they call it dhabiha. So he prepared, he wanted to go and fetch for a reasonable one, like a smaller one that he can afford. And he found one from his local butcher. He took the entire thing, and even the guts, they keep them. They don't throw them away. The liver and the kidneys and the heart, they still eat them. Uh, and he went to his wife and told her, "This is what we are gonna eat in 4 days when my friend come in." And she didn't have a refrigerator. Her refrigerator was just cooling food at the bottom, but it wasn't. The freezer didn't work. So she went to her sister's house, which was close to her, because as I told you, these people live in a family-oriented environment. Everybody live with everybody. They are always close to each other. So her sister was a walking distance from her. And she gave her 2 bags. They gave her the bag of the meat and told her, "Could you please put it in your freezer?" And she did. I think after a day, next day, she told her daughter to go and bring the bag, telling her aunt that we need the meat bags because we want to cook the guts, and we will give you back the bag after we are done. The meat thawed. The mom cooked something for the kids for that day. And she put the rest of it in the side and told her young daughter, she was like 6, 7 years old. She had an older daughter, she was helping her cooking in the kitchen, but she asked her younger daughter to take the meat and give it back to her aunt, because within 2 days the guest is coming and they will take it back then. And of course they had skin and gut here and some leftover and some garbage here and there. So the older daughter put that garbage and all that extra filth from the animal and excess food, excess flesh and from the animal in a bag, and put it in the side in the kitchen. And she asked her brother, the 17-year-old kid, to take it to the garbage. Of course, the young daughter, who was 6, 7 years old, forgot to take the meat to her aunt. Went to playing in the street and she got distracted and forgot. And then the 17-year-old son took both bags, thinking it's all garbage, and he threw the meat outside. 2 days passed, and it's the day when the mom is supposed to prepare the meat for the guests to come and have dinner with them. So around noon, Mahmoud was supposed to arrive around 5 or 6 o'clock that night. So around noon, she sent her daughter to her sister, asking her to give her the meat bag. She didn't ask the same daughter. She asked another daughter. She told her, go and fetch the meat bag from your aunt and ask her that we want to cook it. The daughter went to her aunt, and the aunt said, you never give us the meat bag back. You took it first time and nobody brought it back. It's still with you. We don't have it. The mom could not believe what she was hearing, so she went in person to her sister, telling her maybe it's inside the freezer and you couldn't find it, you couldn't see it. Maybe one of my daughters brought it to your house and you weren't there. We don't have it. We took just a small portion of it and we gave it back to you. I told my daughter to give it back to you, and she looked herself in the freezer. There was nothing. So she was completely puzzled. What's going on? Where is the meat? And this is a massive disaster. They have nothing to feed the guest. And you have to be generous and treat your guest the right way and feed them the best food you have. What are they going to feed the guy now when it's a massive disaster on the wife? And she freaked out immediately. She called her husband. I couldn't find the meat. I don't know what to do. What are we going to cook? And the husband told her, where would it go? And then she asked her daughter, where is the bag of meat that I told you to take to your aunt? And she said, oh my God, Mom, I didn't take it. I don't know where it is. It should be in the kitchen. I forgot to take it. And the mom looked in the kitchen. There was nothing in the refrigerator at the bottom. The freezer is broken. So she immediately recognized that probably her son, when he threw the garbage out, he threw the entire bag of meat with it, and now it's bad because the dogs probably ate it, and it's spoiled now. It's rotten. They can't even eat it. So the husband says, well, I guess I have to go and look for another dhabiha. I have to buy another small goat or a small sheep. And he doesn't have the money. He cannot afford it. So he was really in trouble. And his friend is coming in 3-4 hours. Anyway, and he has to work, so he couldn't go himself, but he contacted his friend and told him, my son is gonna come to you. I'll pay you later on. Could you please give him a shoulder of a sheep or a thigh or whatever best meat you have? Give my son a bag of it, and he's on his way in his bicycle and will come and pick it up. Now we have to stop here. I have to take you to another chapter, and then we will come back to Ibrahim and his son and the whole drama with the meat and the dinner. There was the sheikh of the town. You know, sheikh is like a priest, so he's well known and he's known to be religious. And people judge them. You have to raise your kids well, and your house has to be happy. You have to treat your wife well, and so he has a really good son. Genuinely, he was a good son. He went just from school to the house, from house to the school. He helped his dad in the mosque. He had a really good reputation. He didn't play with girls. He was really good in school. and he had really high moral standards, so everybody knew him in town. Everybody loved him. And he was like the role model in the town. And of course, some of his peers hated him because the parents would say, "Why don't you be a good student like Faris?" His name was Faris. "Why don't you be a good friend like Faris? Why don't you have good morals like Faris?" And it's always, "Well, Faris, Faris, Faris." So his peers invited him to the one of the farms. As I told you, people gather on their farms. They have swimming pools, they have a place to stay, they do barbecue there. All guys go and smoke. They could sit around and smoke, grill together and smoke. What do you call it? Hookah. It's really big in that society. So they took him there, and I think they put something in the hookah. When Faris smoked it, of course he became high, or his judgment became really affected. He couldn't focus. He was slurring his speech. He couldn't talk well, and he freaked out and immediately ran away and went to his house. And of course, his mom saw him in this situation, and she thought that he was drinking. And drinking is forbidden in Islam. You can't just drink, and your dad is a sheikh in the mosque. So his dad was sitting there, and his dad started attacking him. Where have you been? You are gonna put my head on the dirt, doing these things. You have been playing with your friends, drinking and doing probably drugs. What's wrong with you? And Faris was so affected with the drugs he couldn't talk. So his dad started lashing him with his belt left and right until the mom interfered. She thought the dad is gonna kill his son. And because the dad lost his mind, how could his son do this? And the mom knew her son is really good. How impossible he's doing alcohol or whatever they thought he ate or drank or smoked. And immediately the mom called her brother, because she knew her husband is not gonna go to bed easily. He has to probably gonna kill her son if she moved away. She called her brother, and the brother actually had an appointment. Let's call her brother Ashraf. Ashraf, the uncle, had an appointment with Mahmoud. So Ashraf is Mahmoud's best friend, and he was also a businessman. He wanted to do a project like Mahmoud and start a life, so he wanted to borrow some money from Mahmoud, and Mahmoud was supposed to stop at Ashraf's house to give him an envelope of a check or cash before he goes to Ibrahim's invitation dinner. And when the sister called Ashraf to come home and save her son and see what's going on, Ashraf missed Mahmoud, so he couldn't take the money from Mahmoud. He had to deal with his sister's situation, and he walked in the house and started to calm them down. And at that time, Mahmoud called him, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm at my sister's house. I'm having a situation." Mahmoud told him, "I cannot wait. You come and meet me at my other friend. He's inviting me for dinner. Just come and join us. I'm sure he wouldn't mind you." And Arabs do that. You don't have to be invited. They just show up with someone else and everybody's welcomed. It's in the culture. You can't say anything. If you said something, you are really a bad host and you are being cheap. And so Ashraf told me, "Yeah, okay, I'm going to send me the address and I'm going to drive to you." Don't forget that when Ibrahim sent his 17-year-old son to go and grab a bag of meat from the butcher, Ashraf was driving so fast, really worried about his sister because she was screaming on the phone. Ashraf accidentally hit Ibrahim's son's bike, and the bike flew away. The kid flew away. It was really dark. It was after the sun went down. It was really dark. And the sun, I think it was winter, so the sun goes down at 5 o'clock. So the whole thing happened between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And And those people, they don't have dinner like us. They have lunch around 1 and then dinner is at around 9 or 10. They don't have dinner like us around 6 or 7. So he still have time to cook, and Ibrahim was waiting, and his wife was waiting for his son to bring the meat, and the wife want to cook it. Anyway, when Ashraf heard the impact, he freaked out. He stopped immediately. He saw some blood on the car, but he couldn't find the kid. He saw the bike in the side. He went fetching for the kid, and he saw him bleeding. Immediately, he took him to the hospital, and the hospital told him the kid is already dead. So he didn't know what to do, and he didn't know who this kid is, and he had to rush to his sister and see what's going on. Then he has to rush and get the money from Mahmoud. So it was very chaotic, and he didn't know whom to call and what to do. So he took the kid back to the car. So the hospital thought he's just going to take him to bury him. So that it's none of their business. They gave him a death certificate, and that's it. He put the kid in the car trunk. He drove to his sister. The sister saw him really stressed out and sweating. She didn't know what was going on. So he calmed her down and spoke to the son. By this time, the son was sobering up, and he promised his uncle that he didn't do anything. His friends probably put something in the hookah or in his food. Maybe they put some weed on his food, like edibles. And the uncle tried to talk to the dad about what the son told him, that it's his friend's fault, that his kid is he still can't trust his kid. He wouldn't be a bad boy suddenly like that, and it must be a mistake. And tomorrow he will go and talk to the kid's parents and see who did it and what was going on. And then he had to excuse himself. So he go and pick up the money from Mahmoud, and he will want to deal with the body. At that time, the wife was missing her son, and she called her husband. Your son never came back home, and the meat needs an hour and a half to get cooked, and we don't have time. So the husband went in person to the butcher asking about his son, and he told him no, he never came. So the son, of course, doesn't have a phone. And it has been almost 2 hours now, or 3 hours, and the son never came home. But they cannot stop the dinner, and they were really worried about their son. So the husband Ibrahim told his wife, just cook for us and I'll deal with it. I'll go and look for him later on after we feed our guests. And of course, Mahmoud called Ibrahim and told him we are expecting a third friend. His name is Ashraf. Ibrahim didn't know Ashraf, but Mahmoud was the connecting point between these three friends, and they became really friends later on. Long story short, Mahmoud showed up to the house, and he was picked up by Ashraf from the airport. Ibrahim welcomed them both, led them to the guest house, put some fruits and vegetables for them. The dinner is supposed to be ready soon, he told them. And so he went out to look for his son, and he want to pick up some desserts for after dinner, some dessert for after dinner for his guests. So he excused himself and asked Ashraf to give him his car keys because he want to go and pick up some dessert. But in reality, he want to look for his son too. So he excused himself and took the car, not knowing that his son is in the back of the trunk. Unreal. Guys, this is a real story. His son was in the trunk dead, and he went outside to grab some dessert and look for his son. So he went to his uncle's homes. He stopped by the grocery store. He stopped by where his one or two of his son friends asking about him, but he couldn't find him anywhere. So he thought, okay, I'm gonna bring the dessert and go home and deal with it later on. Believe it or not, he bought a massive bag of baklava. He put it in the trunk, and he did not see his son's body in the trunk. Meanwhile, Ibrahim noticed Ashraf's face Ashraf didn't look normal. He was sweating, he was stressed out, he was really scared. So, of course, Ashraf told Mahmoud what happened. He told him, I hit a kid. I don't know. I didn't see him in the dark. I was driving so fast to you to pick you up from the airport. I mean, to go to my sister's house because of an incident happened with her, and he's in the trunk of my car dead. And Mahmoud says, oh my God, don't say anything. Don't tell the host of our house anything. We are gonna eat dinner and then deal with the body and see whose son is that. Uh, Ibrahim came home, gave the dessert to his wife, and the wife asked about her son. He said, I couldn't find him. I don't know where he is. And after that, he told her his dinner, he went to the guest house and welcomed his friends and start catching up with them, start to get to know, what is his name? Ashraf more, because this is his first time to meet him. And he noticed they are not talking well. They look stressed. They look weird. And he didn't know what's going on. So he told them, what's going on? And of course, Ashraf was freaking out. He thought that Ibrahim saw the body in the back of the trunk, but he didn't. So Mahmoud told Ibrahim what Ashraf did. He told him, well, Ashraf had an accident and he hit this kid, and the kid died, and he's in the back of the trunk, and we don't know what to do with it. And Ibrahim says, oh my God, this is horrible. Are you sure he's dead? He said, yeah, I took him to the hospital before I come here. And because I had to meet you guys for dinner, I didn't want to be late. I didn't know what to do. I thought I might tell Mahmoud, and Mahmoud would help me to find the family. Maybe you will recognize the kid and tell us who he belongs to. Believe it or not, imagine Ibrahim's face when he saw his son dead in the car trunk. Oh my God. He stood there frozen. Of course, Mahmoud doesn't know Ibrahim's son. And of course, Ashraf, this is the first time he meets Ibrahim. So, of course, he didn't know his son. And Ibrahim told them both, this is my son, the one I was looking for. Ashraf collapsed on the ground. He put his head down, stretched his neck, and he said, you have full right to kill me, because a soul is for a soul. And in that culture up north there, if you kill somebody, it's just so weird. Like, a soul is for a soul. So out of respect, he told him, you can take my soul because I killed your son. It was that bad. He didn't know what to do, and that's his way to apologize. And they do it there to express, hey, this is our ultimate regret. You can take my soul if that's gonna make you happy. So he did that. He was on his knees, offering his neck to Ibrahim because of what he did, and that's his son. Ibrahim says, no, please don't make any noise, don't make anything. We will deal with it after dinner. Mahmoud says, what dinner? We can't eat. He told him, no, calm down. Let's go inside and talk about this. He closed the car. He told him, don't make any noise because I don't want my wife to know. Because if the wife knew, it's going to be screaming and crying, and the whole neighborhood will know, and they have to deal with the funeral immediately, because Muslims, they bury the body immediately. They don't have funeral ceremony. It's like Jewish people. If somebody died, you have to bury them immediately. They wash them and wrap them in white cloth. I'm sure you have seen that. They don't put them in caskets. They wrap them in white cloth and just bury them, ashes to ashes and earth to earth. I forget what the saying is, but that's how it is. You were born naked without anything, and you go to earth naturally naked and meet God. Oh my God, it's so morbid. They went inside. He tried to calm them down, and the generous, good person he is, and it's in that culture. They are extremely generous, so he didn't want his guests to leave hungry. The dinner is ready by now. He put the food on the ground, and they could not eat. How could they eat after what happened? They killed their host's son. He told them it happened by accident. We don't own our kids. God own our kids. They are just, He gave them to us as a gift to take care of it, and He can take it anytime. And I believe in that, and it's God will, and He took my son. What am I gonna do about it? Now you are my guest, and you have to eat. They refused under no circumstance. They lost their appetite. They told me we cannot eat. We lost our appetite. He started eating. He said, "I'm gonna eat," and he swore to his son body, that soul, that they have to eat. And I don't know how to translate it in English, but it means that this is my son body dinner, and you have to eat. And only then they ate a little bit. So they ate, and after they finished dinner, they announced that the son is dead. They told his wife, and they held a week of a funeral, because that's how Arabs do it, either 3 days or 7 days, but because he was poor, it lasted only 3 days. They gather in the family house, and it's a big chaos. It's really sad. They cry in groups together, and the family comes in, and then they calm down. They read some of the holy verse, and they go next day and visit the grave, and they do a little bit of dinner or lunch here or some food. Anyway, that's how the tradition is. And after a week, after things calm down, Mahmoud came with a check for Ibrahim, and the guy who killed his son by mistake. As I told you before, if you heard one of my stories, in the Arabic culture, a soul is for a soul. But if it happened by mistake, and even if it's not by mistake, if the family wanted money and forgive the criminal, he has to pay a lot of money. Some of them, it's whatever the family wants. If they said 10 million, it has to be 10 million. If you couldn't pay it, your head gets taken. So Ashraf offered money, a lot of money. It's like $40,000 for Ibrahim, for killing his son. And also Mahmoud gave him a check of $60,000. That's a lot of money. It's like 3 lifetime circles of working 9 to 5 for 100 years for Ibrahim to make that much money. $100,000 is like 3 million in Syrian money, which could feed an entire town. Anyway, so he, of course, Ibrahim rejected the money. He said, "You don't have to do this." They insisted, and then Ibrahim became one of the wealthiest people in the town. Of course, he fed the people in need, and he became well known in the town. And the thing that comforted him is that God has to take something to give him something. So to get out of his misery and poor life, so his daughters can get married, so he can have a decent life, have a nicer house, a car. God has to take his son, and that's how he became wealthy. And he accepted his reality as a believer in God, as a religious man. And his friendship with Mahmoud continued. Mahmoud went back to Saudi Arabia after that. And this is a very weird story, as you can see, because what if Mahmoud airplane wasn't delayed? What if Ashraf sister didn't call him? He wouldn't have to drive, and he wouldn't have hit the kid. What if Ibrahim went on by himself and got the meat instead of sending his son? What if and what if and what if? But if we thought about it, it's all planned. Life happens for some reason that we don't understand now, but maybe in the future things will add up. And as they say, just submit to the process. You never know what God is having the books for you. And it's a very strange story. And that's it. And that's the end of our story. And until our next story, please subscribe if you are new to my channel. Please like it because it helps the logarithm with my new channel, so it grows. And love and peace your way until our next one. Bye bye.